It's Raiders week here out at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, but it doesn't really hit the same with the 10-2 Broncos facing the 2-10 Raiders. The Broncos should take care of business, but they are not overlooking the Raiders. They just had their first practice of the week leading up to this Broncos-Raiders game in Las Vegas. Of course, the Broncos won the first matchup 10-7 in Denver on primetime. This is just a 2 o'clock game in Denver against the Las Vegas Raiders. And unfortunately, a couple of key players were not at practice for the Denver Broncos. DJ Jones, who got hurt in the game against the Commanders with an ankle injury, was at practice, but he did not participate in practice. That's a big one to have, especially going up against Ashton Genty. Even though the Raiders haven't been able to run the ball, we got more on the Raiders and the Broncos game plan later, so make sure to stay tuned. Also, like this video, helps us out a lot. Subscribe so you get all of the updated Broncos information that you need, because we are here at the Broncos facility every single day. Another guy that did not practice, Nate Adkins. Last week, Sean Payton indicated that Nate would not be out for a lot longer, but he was not back today. Doesn't mean he's out this week, but not a good sign for a guy that has been out for over a month. There is some good news, though. Jonah Ellis did practice today. He has not practiced in over a month, dealing with an injury. He could get a big role in the game this week, especially playing against a bad Raiders offensive line. So good to see him back out there. He did practice last week, but he did not play in the game. So we'll see if the practice today leads to him playing or if he sits out a little bit more. Speaking of the Broncos being 10-2, a lot of talk today on the mentality of the Broncos. And Bo Nix had a message for the haters, for the people that are trying to tear the 10-2 Broncos down. He says, we don't care about you. We're not listening to the people that are trying to tear a 10-2 team down, because we are what our record is, and that is 10-2. He doesn't care how the Broncos are winning and people trying to tear him down, so he's not listening to that outside noise. And speaking of more of the Broncos mentality that they have, a lot of today in the interviews was spent on talking about how Bo Nix and Sean Payton have a commonality that's driving this team, and that commonality is how much both of them hate to lose and love to win. We've heard people in the past say that Sean Payton is addicted to winning. Well, today they made it clear how much they hate losing as well, and just how maniacal Sean Payton is in the details of things. He said it's not just the football that he's maniacal about. He's maniacal about when you walk into the building, which is right here, just what the entryway is like, what the signage is like in the hallways. And he'll say, you know, sometimes he'll watch film and he won't notice certain things. Maybe the caffeine hasn't hit yet, were his words. But then he said in the afternoon, when the Coke's going, Coca-Cola's going, when the Mountain Dew is flowing, that's when he might see some things in the film that he rewatches again to be able to find out some details that he might have missed earlier. So that's the big theme this week, is how much the Broncos love winning and hate losing. And maybe that's an important thing to carry this team into a game where you're playing the 2-10 Raiders. It's kind of hard to get up for this game, but not for the Broncos. They are all in on this game. And a guy that might be featured a lot on Sunday and moving forward is R.J. Harvey. When Sean Payton talked about R.J. Harvey, he said, quote, "There's that saying, you haven't seen anything yet," and then pointed to just how good of a runner R.J. Harvey is. R.J. Harvey has 8 touchdowns on the season. That is the most of any rookie in the NFL. Not just running back, not just receiver, any player in the NFL. He has been that good, but it still seems like he hasn't hit his full potential as a runner, and I think that's exactly what Sean Payton is indicating, is that we are still going to see a better R.J. Harvey as a runner. That might be good for any fantasy owners of R.J. Harvey, because he has the most touchdowns for rookies in the NFL, and then he might get his running game going. And man, the Raiders are a bad defense. This is a time where we could see an R.J. Harvey breakout game this week. More that we learned from today's practice out at Dove Valley at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. Make sure to like this video, subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps us a lot. As the Broncos have a new Bronco, Elijah Moore, wearing number 81. Now, he is on the practice squad, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of talk and a lot of hype and a lot of excitement surrounding Elijah Moore. He was a second-round pick in 2021, has bounced around to a couple of teams, but he torched the Broncos last year in that Monday Night Football game where Jerry Jeudy went off for over 200 yards with the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston is the quarterback. Elijah Elijah Moore quietly had an 8-catch, 111-yard performance. So the Broncos are very well aware of him. Why do the Broncos add him? Sean Payton essentially said, we're always looking on the wire, looking to add talented players, and that's exactly what Elijah Moore is. So Cortland Sutton says he brings a great presence to this room. Doesn't know exactly what his role will be, but he's really, really good in the building. Said he had a great first practice on Wednesday today. And Pat Surtain actually said that he has played against Elijah Moore going all the way back to Little League. They played against each other in Little League. Then they played against each other in the SEC because Elijah Moore went to Ole Miss. Pat Surtain locked him down at Alabama, and now they finally get to be teammates. So we'll see if Elijah Moore has a role. Probably not this week, but moving forward, as he is on the practice squad, he's wearing number 81 and is a talented player. Speaking of what to expect from the Raiders this week, I mentioned they're really bad. Well, since the last time the Broncos have played the Raiders have 2 new coordinators. They've fired their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly. They've fired their special teams coordinator, Tom McMahon, who used to be a Broncos coordinator. So 2 of their 3 coordinators are new this year. And I asked Sean Payton just how much changes with this team because of new coordinators, and I thought it was really interesting. One of the things that he really hinted to, he said with Pete Carroll, they like to play great defense and they like to run the ball. And he kind of indicated that with Chip Kelly, they were passing the ball way too much. So he expects, it seems like, Sean Payton really indicated this, for the Raiders to try to run the ball a lot more. And if I'm Pete Carroll, I think that's a very smart thing to do because Geno Smith could get sacked 10 times by this Denver Broncos team if they do not establish a running game. You also have Ashton Genty, who, by the way, didn't do much, hasn't done much this year. I don't think the Broncos are afraid of him by any means, but if the Raiders don't want to get absolutely destroyed by the Broncos this week, they better try to establish a running game. But the Broncos are fully expecting that, so you're not going to pull a quick one and get that past Vance Joseph and this group right here. And finally, the last piece of news from today is unfortunate news. Mike Shanahan did not make the Hall of Fame for the 2026 class. Neither did Dan Reeves. Unfortunately, Bill Belichick got that nod. Not a surprise at all, but became official today. Only one coach gets that nod in this process that the Pro Football Hall of Fame has moved to. Bill Belichick is going to get that this year. Dan Reeves, Mike Shanahan have to wait another year. But I liked what Sean Payton said. He said, there's a couple of planes out here at the airport just down the street from where the Broncos practice. One of them's Bill Belichick's, one of them's Mike Shanahan's, one of them is, I don't know, he threw another coach out there and said all 3 of those Hall of Fame planes are going to take off eventually. It's not if they take off, it's when they take off. This year, it's going to be Bill Belichick's time to take off into the Hall of Fame, but eventually it will be Mike Shanahan's time to take off, and let's hope that is the case. And Sean Payton didn't know that coaches do not have to wait 5 years in order to be in the Hall of Fame. So he might be licking his chops thinking that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame sooner than he thought as well. But he's got the Raiders game to prepare for. He's got a playoff run to prepare for. Right now, the Broncos have a 99.5% chance to make the playoffs. We are going to be breaking down this playoff run right here from Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, for the entire run, all throughout the playoffs, maybe even to the Super Bowl. Make sure to stay tuned, like this video, and subscribe as well. We appreciate you tuning in, and stay tuned all week because we'll be